Okay, my name is Edward Solomon, and I'm making this video for the County Recorder in El Paso, Colorado. And I'm going to show you that what I do is actually very easy to replicate. We'll have it done within 10 to 15 minutes of starting this video. So we're going to go straight to the website, okay? And we're just going to take a fresh copy of the cast vote record, okay? Election results, archived, cast vote records. Then we're going to start with 2020. I've actually never looked at 2022. We'll take a look at that as well. And then let's pull this up here, 2020. We're going to do a fresh download. Now what we're going to do is open that file. We're going to open with Excel. We're going to focus on the repeal of Gallagher. So we're going to take the cast vote record number column. We're going to put that here. Biden and Trump, we're going to put them here. Then we're going to go over to Constitutional Amendment B. Which is columns DP and DQ in this cast vote record. I'm going to put them here. We don't need anything else. I'm going to delete everything else. So after that, just delete the rest of the sheet because it's in the way. It's just occupying space we don't need. This is yes, and this is no on the amendment. Okay, now what we want to do is get rid of any redacted ballots. We just want to get these out of the way because they're going to screw up our formulas if we don't do that. Sort by anything, all the redactions are at the bottom. It's going to delete here. Okay, so we still have 383,000 ballots, okay? All right, now I'm going to take this down to the end here, wherever it is. Just going to bring it one more time. That way the when I scroll to the bottom, it ends exactly where the CVR ends, okay? Okay, now what we need to do is figure out who voted yes and who voted no on these ballot propositions, okay? And how they voted for president. We're going to put a new cast vote record number here. So let's go ahead and sort this by the CVR. Remember, we deleted all the redacted ballots. So I just call this the ordinal, okay? 1, and just do 1 plus a number above it. And then just drop that to the bottom. Okay, and that will be our new ordinal, okay? All right, so we want to know who voted in which way. So Trump no, Trump yes, Biden no, Biden yes on the ballot proposition. So what we want to do first of all is get rid of any ballots that weren't voted for Trump or Biden or yes or no. So we're going to use a XOR gate here. Okay. Not XOR. So we put in... we don't need to do that. There's so few ballots that it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's just set this up then. A, B, C, D. So then this is TrumpNo, BidenNo, TrumpYes, and BidenYes. Okay. All right, so this is actually a very easy formula. Okay, we put in BITAND, Trump, and no. And we're going to make this an array formula. Okay. So C2 to C to the bottom, and E2, E to the bottom. Okay. And if this returns a 1, it means they voted for Trump and no. Okay. We're just going to do this here. This is going to be BidenNo, so D to D and E to E. TrumpYes is C to C and F to F. And then we have BidenYes is D to D and F to F. Okay, let's just check these one more time, make sure we have them correct. C to E, D and E, C and F, D and F. Okay. Okay, now we're going to get the cumulative values here. Okay. So we're going to put all the no voters here and all the yes voters here. We're going to take the first line of this. Now we're going to add the thing above it. This gives us the cumulative. Since it's cumulative, we can't do an array formula. So what you do here is you click on the first cell where we put in TrumpNo current plus TrumpNo previous in the cumulative. Scroll to the bottom, hold Shift, click the bottom cell, then hit Control Enter. Okay, this gives us the running cumulative. All right, now we only care about 4 percentages here. Trump's total share of the vote, the total share of the no vote, people opposed, how Republicans voted, and how Democrats voted. Okay, so I always use the color purple. For the combined presidential vote, I use green, or usually beige these days. Actually, for the total opposed vote to Gallagher, M is the percentage of Republicans voting no, and blue and N, that's Democrats voted no. So this is pretty simple. We just put in Trump no plus Trump yes, okay, over K, L, M, column N, okay. Again, we're going to drop this as an array formula. So K, M, K, L, M, N. Okay. Okay. The total no vote is K plus L. So we just change this to an L. Republican opposed only is going to be Trump no divided by Trump no plus Trump yes. And then Democrat no. If you get divided by 0, just put if error 50%. Because 0 divided by 0, the limit is 50% in elections. Okay. And then here, this is Democrat no over Democrat no plus Democrat yes. So it's going to be L L over L, L, N, N. Okay. Now the last thing we need here is what's called normalized time. That's just the ordinal, okay, divided by the total ballots cast. So since we didn't filter out the undervotes, we actually have to know what the total ballots cast in this set is. So hold on. So we get 341,000 ballots cast in this set. That means there's 341,000 people who voted both for the president and on the ballot proposition, regardless of how they voted. I just took the sum of the ones and zeros here. Okay, so then the total, if we look at this, it's going to be this denominator here. And then we're going to divide it by T1, okay? And that is the percentage of ballots counted. Now we're going to graph these as percentages, okay? And we're going to call this time. This goes from 0 to 100% of the ballots counted. We'll do this from 30% to 65 perhaps. Yeah, we'll do 65. So as you can see, like what I do is not really that, it's not like I'm doing some mind-blowing calculation. Like my write-ups look like they're something out of a quantum physics field, right? You know, you see all these things that look otherworldly, but really all we're doing is measuring ballots, right? So I'm just waiting for that to load real quick. But anyway, let's go ahead and label these according to their colors. So alpha is Trump's total share of the vote. And we're going to put that in purple. So it's a little laggy when you have all of these values in the graph at once. And then you have omega here. Okay. Can't really use beige on a white graph, so we'll make it brown. And then this is Republican no on Gallagher, so we'll make that red, just like the column color. And then Democrats are already in blue, so we can just sort of leave it that way on the graph. Okay. Actually, we'll just do it for doing it for its own sake. So you can see that Democrats don't change their stance on Gallagher over time during the election, which is fine. We don't expect people to change their stance on the election over time. It's all mail-in. But yet, if we see, and this is true for like every precinct, we see Trump's share of the vote just increasing in every single precinct. So it takes a little more work to show that at a precinct level, but I do have the pictures on hand for Arapahoe here. So if I could find that, yeah, right here. So on the right side graph, you see, and you'll get this in El Paso as well. And what you'll see is, if the x-axis is, the precincts percentage halfway through the election or something, maybe a little early, I think a third into the election, 30% of the ballots counted. This is only the mail-in votes, by the way. I took the election day votes out in Arapahoe. And you can see that every precinct increases by about 10 to 12% over the course of time. You can see that all of these lines are ascending in general in Arapahoe. This is every precinct. And like I said, you get the same thing. In fact, it's even a higher ascension in every precinct in El Paso. You get like a 15 to 16% change in El Paso. And you can see that in the cumulative graph, right? Like, we're starting at 35% Trump in a deep red county for God knows what reason. And then we're ending at 53% Trump, right? But, like, even that doesn't tell the whole story, okay? So if you want to know the whole story, right, you have to look at what's called the immediate share of the vote. And I'm going to show you that now, okay? And all we do here is subtract... how many ballots do we have in this? 341,000. So let's do 10,000. Okay, so if you'll see, about 10,000 divided by 341, it's about 3%. Okay. So what we do is we just go to ballot 10,000, V 10,001. Actually, you have to go one more because of counting numbers. Okay. And we just put in, what is this minus the value 10,000 ballots prior. Okay. And then you select that cell at the 10,000 point. Okay. And then again, you just scroll to the bottom, you hit Control Enter. And this is going to show you a rolling share. Okay. Then I'm going to bring this down to 10,000. Same thing. We use the era function NA because Excel won't actually knows how to deal with the NA era function quite well. Whereas if we just leave like a divide by zero error, it gets really, really confused and doesn't know how to graph all of a sudden. So just replace all of that with NA. We already have these columns set up. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're just going to copy and paste these here to here. Okay. And it's going to pretty much be the exact same graph. Okay. Just replace these with if errors, NA. That way it's not bugging out. Except now you're going to see the immediate share of the vote. Okay. Let's go ahead, put that in percentage. We're actually going to copy this graph. We're going to set this to ZAD. And this tells a very different story. Okay, and I'm actually going to keep their y-axis at the same scale. Okay, so I'm going to raise this to 0.7. Hopefully that's enough. It should be enough. Okay. Now I'm going to take this and just drag her back up. Just down a little. Okay, so then, like, what you're seeing here is Trump is going from 35% of the batches to 65, sometimes 75% of the batch at the end of the election. Because that's actually what it takes to make a cumulative percentage move over time. Because the more ballots that are cast, the harder it is to actually shake or perturb a cumulative percentage. And then what you see here is what I call the seesaw, right? You know, Democrats aren't really changing how they're voting on Proposition B, which is fine. But for some reason, even though Trump's share of the vote is radically increasing, which is a huge problem on its own, okay, the Proposition B vote, Repeal Gallagher, pretty much remains flat for the whole election. Well, the only way that can happen then is if, as Trump's share of the vote keeps going up, Trump voters opposed to Proposition B now have to magically decrease according to a formula. Okay? In fact, there's an algebraic identity for this. Okay? And it reads quite simply, if we define the Trump share of the vote, the Trump share of the opposed vote is TrumpNo over TrumpNo plus TrumpYes, as we did. We're going to call that M. Okay. A is TrumpNo. TrumpNo over TrumpNo plus TrumpYes. C is TrumpYes. Okay. N is Democrat no. BidenNo over BidenNo plus BidenYes. So that's B and D. Okay, alpha is, we have it in its percentage form, which is TrumpNo plus TrumpYes over all four. Okay, and then the total opposed percentage is omega. A plus B, that's TrumpNo plus BidenNo over all four. Okay, then we get the algebraic identity. M, total Republican opposition, equals total opposition plus alpha, 1 minus alpha. So that's Biden's share of the vote over alpha, which is Trump's share of the vote, times omega minus n. This is an algebraic identity. It has nothing to do with the election being fair or not. It's an absolute. So if somebody holds the total no vote omega, if somebody holds that constant the entire election, and the Democrats don't change how they vote on it, then as Trump's total share of the vote goes up, the total Republican opposition has to come down. Okay, it is a geometrically forcing law. Okay, we're literally talking geometry. We're not talking statistics here. And I show that here. There should be a picture of that here somewhere. With the seesaw picture. But even before the seesaw picture, there should be something there for that. Here it is. Okay. So all this really says is I have a law, Desmos. We'll put y equals 0.3. That will be Republican no. Okay. Total no will be y equals 0.5, or whatever they set it to. What did they set it to in El Paso? Because this is not how people voted. Okay, This is somebody rigging the election. And then this is what, 33% for Democrats? Okay, then we're going to put alpha just goes from 0 to 1. Okay. We're going to zoom into our quadrants here. X greater than 0. Okay, so here's our setup. Democrats in blue, total in green, Trump's share of the vote is in purple. Okay. Then we're going to forcibly back solve for the Republican opposed percentage. Okay, that has to be 0.46 plus 1 minus f of x over f of x, 0.46 minus 0.33. And now you see this forcing sequence. Okay, it can't be anything else. So then we have here, if we bring that into paint, okay, what this law says here is that the Republican opposed percentage, okay, is equal to the green line. When we say omega plus something, it means omega is a point of reflection. So the distance from omega to n, let's call that k. Okay, k equals omega minus n. So we go plot k somewhere. So here's k, and that's the constant over the whole cast vote record. Well, then m is the reflection of k over green scaled by the Biden to Trump ratio. Okay. So now showing you that again, let's go out here. Okay. This is k. It's the same length. But the Trump to Biden ratio is quite small out here. Okay. So the inverse proportion means that red is going to be way, way up here, because we have to reflect over the green line. Okay, this is a reflection law right here. I call it the hyperbolic reflection law because it's ultimately a hyperbola. The way I explain this to the layman is with the seesaw diagram, which I believe you've seen. And the way the seesaw diagram works is the larger the Republican vote, okay, the more the Republicans move to the left on a ballot proposition, which makes absolutely no sense, okay? You won't find that in most states of the Union. Usually how Democrats and Republicans vote, it stays exactly the same throughout the entire election, as you would expect, okay? So what this says here is like, well, when the Republican vote is very small, you know, they're voting only, you actually get to see how they feel on it, like in Arapahoe, and it's 66% no. But when that Republican vote becomes really large, like in El Paso, especially with that moving share of the vote that's going up very, very quickly from 35 to 65, okay? All of a sudden, Republicans are brought down from 66%, which is 2 to 1 against it, down to 50%, which is 1 to 1 against it. And you see that here. So the bigger the Republican vote, the more they move to the middle of the seesaw to negate their negate their own weight of the opposed vote. Okay, this is an algorithm. Humans don't vote this way. Okay. So I'll give you this sheet, okay, for El Paso recorder. So these are the methods that I use. They're not really that complicated, okay. I just use a BITAND gate for yes and no on ballot propositions, as you saw. Then I count them in a cumulative array, and then I plot their percentages against time, which is the percentage of ballots counted. And then I notice that they adhere to a junior high level algebraic identity, meaning the election is rigged. Okay. Now, yeah, sure, this formula, it's technically true whether the election is rigged or not, okay? But if this was actually a fair election, if Trump's share of the vote increased like that, then you would also expect the total opposed share of the vote to increase, because the red line, which is Republican opposed, should remain constant, just like the Democrat line in blue. So it's clear that they're back solving for the Republican opposition rate to Gallagher. Okay? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.